So welcome here, everyone, to Piano Tech Radio Hour. Of course, an introduction is fitting as usual for those of you first joining us today. We gather here every Saturday to meet with and learn from the most fascinating and knowledgeable folks in the piano world, including manufacturers, rebuilders, musicians, makers of other instruments, and of course, piano techs. Our mutual goal is to become better at our crafts, to help each other, and to create an ever more musical world together. Piano Tech Radio Hour is brought to you by Piano Technicians Masterclasses, an online learning resource that brings you cutting-edge instruction from piano industry masters without leaving your home. You can find out more at pianotechniciansmasterclass.com. If you'd like to keep up with us, attend every live session easily, and support the future growth of this fine production, please subscribe at bit.ly/joinptrh, bit.ly/joinptrh. Of course, as usual, we have ongoing masterclass content in addition to this radio hour content, and make sure you sign up for Piano Technicians Masterclasses subscription in order to participate. Every third Thursday of each month, we bring you a new masterclass. We just had one with Larry Lobel talking about pianos, the good, bad, and the ugly, kind of what to do when you encounter a piano, to decide whether it's worth putting some investment into or not, and figure out exactly what you're handling. But we won't go too deep into that for now. I'll put some links in the chat later. We'll admit the folks that I'm seeing here in the waiting room. We'll put some links in the Facebook and YouTube chat as we proceed. But what I'd like to do now is start to introduce the topic of our programming today. So today we are meeting here with Hannah Reimann, who has been a regular participant in these sessions over the past several months. I first met her, I think, just as part of the ins and outs of being a piano technician in New York City and having a piano tuning operation there. I think she was looking for some piano tuning, basic stuff, but realized she was doing some very interesting stuff within the piano industry that might be worth sharing with our crowd. And she's particularly interested in what she calls the Stretto pianos, a name that she and her co-conspirators, I'll call them, have put together for pianos that have a narrower than typical width of the keys. And, of course, the reason for that is, and I'm going to spotlight myself here, I'll spotlight Hannah as well. The reason for that is, as we've discovered through Hannah, surprise, surprise, probably half the population can't really manage to play, the repertoire of piano, classical or modern piano music with their size of hands. And instead of giving them a complex and injuries around this type of thing, we have the capacity to make pianos with smaller keys. And so Hannah and her colleagues and co-conspirators have put together a program to bring this message more widely to the world, to bring pianos with this type of key setup to universities, to bring exposure and allow students to study on these instruments, as well as create concert opportunities. And this is a bit of what brings us here today to talk about the Stretto Piano Festival, which just occurred in Manhattan, but also across the globe, virtually and in various locations, featuring folks that are playing on these smaller than average key-sized pianos. And I'll just give a brief overview of Hannah before we jump into some conversation with her about the festival. She's a musician in her own right, who's created several albums. She's also a filmmaker, and she's particularly a specialist in the music of Joni Mitchell, and has been acclaimed for her work recording Joni Mitchell's repertoire, as well as acclaimed just for her pursuit of piano technology, right? Advancing the state of pianos and the piano industry and what we have at our hands. So you can review previous episodes with Hannah to find out more about that kind of stuff. But I want to welcome Hannah today to get started to talk about the Stretto Piano Festival that you just had and how it went. So welcome, Hannah. Good to see you here.
Thank you so much, Ethan. It's really such a pleasure to be back here again. And I want to mention to everyone that Floating Piano Factory helped us out. They were one of our really highly esteemed sponsors for this massive undertaking that I still can't believe that we did. We had 27 concerts over 9 days, and they were coming from artists who were from 5 different continents. And this year we decided to have concerts in beautiful Engelman Recital Hall on East 25th Street and Lexington Avenue in Manhattan, and it's a real concert hall. Last year, I had rented a small space in a church that was like a ballroom, but this was stadium seating, 175 seats, concert grand piano, and then we moved my piano in. So it was really it was really the most exciting event I've ever been part of in my life, because I care so much about these pianos and about all the enthusiasm around the world from artists who are demanding to play these pianos now. It's really become a movement, and there was a lot of power that was generated. We had we had about 7,544 views of all the concerts by this past Tuesday. And our final concert, we had 700 people and then 900 people watching the streaming while it was happening. Now it's up to 2,300 views. And there's interest in this. That's what the views mean to me. This is not like a bragging contest or anything. I really just want to support this community. I wouldn't have done it. And the proof was that people were paying attention. So,
Yeah, great stuff.
yeah.
So I know, just to give folks a preview of what's to come today, we have some clips that we might turn to of the performances, just to kind of get a sense of the talent that's involved here and the scope and breadth of everything that's going on. I want to ask you now, which I don't think you addressed specifically, how does it feel, for this all to be over and done with? I know that I've been involved in planning. I mean, every week I plan an event here, and then plan larger events with more people attending, and up to thousands of people. And it can be, it could be stressful and exciting at the same time. And usually about this time, you're kind of like breathing a sigh of relief, just that the kind of expectation and anticipation is over, and you've completed the pressure-filled task. So is that kind of where you're at right now in this process?
No, because
Is there more to be done? It's not over yet.
I would have life the way that Hannah does things, which is idiosyncratic, but not always conscious.
Yeah.
I decided to have a $50,000 fundraiser simultaneously with
Okay.
the festival. And fortunately, we got a $5,000 donation. And that was the first big sigh of relief that I felt. I also paid a visit to the Chinese Consulate General, and they told us, the cultural consuls, two wonderful women, told me they would be interested in partnering with us. So that was the first sigh of relief. But then I had to start emailing everybody, please donate. So everybody out there in streaming land, if you'd like to help us with our next events, I'll tell you more about what it will be and why it will be so wonderful to have you participate. If anybody wants to donate any amount, large or small, to help me in New York City give pianists a choice of key size in a concert hall, I will be renting something else in January. And when we have $1 million, we will establish our own concert hall, and we'll invite people from all over the world. So that's even more ambitious than the Strutto Piano Festival was, but we needed to do both to continue. So I haven't really relaxed. I was kind of zipping up here this morning a little bit later than I had planned. I'm with some friends up in the Woodstock area, because I spoke to a representative of Highland Piano. So there are 2 piano companies in the world now that are offering pianos with narrow keys on their website or are introducing them. And this is a first. This is so exciting. So, as Ethan knows, I've had contact with Steingraber Piano and also with Highland, and both of those companies, maybe working, maybe not directly with us, but one of them may be working directly with us. And I definitely will be telling people about those pianos. So I went to the Steingraber showroom in the tri-state area yesterday, and I spoke to a representative from Highland this morning. He was in Vienna. So yeah, it's just nonstop action, probably until August 16th, but we'll see.
Okay. Okay. So, and then there'll be something else. So,
But that's the fundraiser. That ends
okay.
August 16th. If anybody wants to give, just chip on in. We're gonna give you a link later on.
Okay. Yeah. And I already put a link in the Zoom chat. Try to get one out there in the social chat as well. But okay. Well, I was hoping for your sake you'd schedule yourself in a little bit of recuperation time, but no.
I will. I'll be up in Maine on Monday, and I'll be on an island in the middle of nowhere, and that'll be nice. Even if I work a couple hours a day, I'll be with nature, and that'll be really a celebration.
Awesome. Very cool. So yeah, how do you foresee the session going here? How soon do you want to jump into reviewing some of the recordings versus chatting a little bit more? What are your thoughts?
I'd like to show our listeners what the experience was like. So yeah,
Okay.
please show some of those excerpts that we picked out together.
All right, sounds good. And I think the first one that we have, and sorry, I'm trying to manage the it's like there's a chat for chatting with folks out on Facebook and YouTube, and it kind of slows my computer down when I'm rolling it. So I think I'm going to close that. And then the first one that you wanted us to queue up was a session with Chris O'Reilly. No, this is the violin channel stream of the closing event. And we have two segments here potentially. One for the Sonata by David Amram, and then potentially another one with David Amram and band. So I guess let's cue that up. I think I've got it at the first stopping point, 147. Or actually maybe not. Let's see here. So the first one,
The first one is
103.52. Okay. Yeah, on this
that's
Facebook video. Okay, got it.
Sonata for Piano by David Amram, which was written
Perfect.
in 1960, and which we're promoting now for him.
Perfect. Here we go. Sure, all that good stuff. And we'll maximize. And you just let me know when you want to pause it. I'll just kind of let it roll out.
Okay.
Whatever's
Okay.
good there.
Give you one of these cut signals.
Oh, you'll have to say it. I won't see you.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'll say that. Okay. That's probably enough.
Great. Beautiful.
So
Sounds
David wanted to show the influence of jazz on his through composed classical music, and then he got up and played with his band. Since he does jazz, he wrote the scores to the Manchurian Candidate and Splendor in the Grass. He was the first resident composer in history at Lincoln Center when Leonard Bernstein was there. He's now 92, and he's like 92 going on 50. He has so much energy. So you can show a little clip of him. That's at time code 14738.
Okay, one moment here. 147. Okay, this should be good. Oh yeah, this looks like quite a band. Very cool. All right, let me share.
His son's playing the congas.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, they were just great. They were great.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, I guess we should probably stop.
All right.
I encourage everybody to go and listen to David's set with his band, or hear the whole concert if you'd like on the violin channels on Facebook. He just did such an amazing job, and he scats, he makes up songs, and he makes up lyrics while in between his playing, in a very rhythmic way. So it made a lot of people happy, and he was supporting us, and he was looking forward to there being a hall. He doesn't have little hands, and he was one of the pianists that played the conventional keys. We wanted to give people a choice of key size for the first time, and we had a few people playing large keys, and then most of the people played the small keys.
Very cool. No, that's great.
And Chris O'Reilly played a Casio Privia. And he had, the entire first book of the Well-Tempered Clavier, and each of the preludes and fugues were played in different temperaments with different sounds of pianos from, over 200 years. There were sounds of forte pianos, harpsichords, Bechstein grands, Erard forte pianos. It was quite fascinating. So if you'd like to see a little taste of that, we've got that one too.
Yeah, let me pull that up. One moment.
minutes. We better stop.
Very beautiful.
I could listen to that whole fugue. Yeah, that's
Yeah, it really interprets it well. Yeah.
he's going to be playing book 2 at the Kennedy Center in November. And then the second half's going to be his interpretations of Radiohead songs, which is going to be released on vinyl by Sony. So, you know,
Wow.
a lot happening in Chris O'Reilly's world. We're so honored and lucky that he came to join us. And he said, invite me back for book 2. So he had a good time too. And I had a wonderful time talking to him for an hour before his concert. We had like a kind of interview just so that people could understand why he was doing what he was doing. So yeah, that was a highlight. There were some interesting people from the New York community there for that one. And one more from New York. Let's hear Roger Lord. He's a real entertainer. He came from Canada and a really, really delightful pianist.
Okay. Let me get that pulled up.
Okay, it's a good place to stop.
Yeah, nice.
That was his own arrangement of this Gershwin medley. Yeah, that's how he closed the program, and people just loved it. They were up on their feet. We were so happy, and he had a little bit of ambiguous feelings about playing his octaves instead of like that, like this. But he said, you know, by the end of the second half, I think I'm sold on it. That was super fun, and he largely came because he has students who really struggle. He's a university professor in Canada, in New Brunswick. And he wants to help his students. Such a wonderful person, so supportive, and he enjoyed playing a lot. He also has been to China numerous times and has played for millions of people on Chinese television, and that was another reason for my wanting to go to the Chinese consulate to talk about these artists and talk about a kind of friendship between a musical friendship between China and America, since there are so many pianos made in China today. So there was a multi-artistretto celebration in Stuttgart, Germany, and I think it would be nice to share this, maybe the first 3 minutes. These people are speaking quite a bit, but they're really great in Germany, giving testimonials about why people should be playing these pianos. So I hope we can see the subtitles clearly. I hope everybody can see that for this one.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Multi-artist, first 3 minutes.
All right, great. Put that up.
Todas as vezes que eu toquei no Sirius, até hoje, eu percebi um novo ganho. Ou melhor, percebi uma dificuldade a menos. Percebi também que, estudando com mais frequência, posso trabalhar alguns vícios de tensão que se desenvolveram no decorrer do tempo por falta de mãos maiores. E alguma das soluções eu posso até transportar para o teclado padrão. E é impressionante o efeito de mãos mais relaxadas sobre os braços, os ombros, o pescoço. Já bastam as tensões físicas de expressão musical quando tocamos, né? Mas aquelas por não se terem mãos maiores são, na maioria das vezes, não trabalháveis. Claro que existem muitas dificuldades que, de fato, são solucionadas com muito talento e criatividade, mas a gente não pode esquecer que criatividade não faz você tocar uma décima enquanto você só alcança uma nona, né? Eu acho que teclas mais estreitas não é nada mais, nada menos do que justo.
Als ich das erste Mal von Sirius, dem Klavier mit schmaleren Tasten, gehört habe, dachte ich mir, das ist wirklich sehr interessant und war dann natürlich auch gespannt, darauf zu spielen. Und als ich es dann probieren durfte, war es dann schon so, wow, das ist ein sehr neues Gefühl für mich. Und leider Gottes kann ich jetzt auch sagen, dass das Bewusstsein für den physiologischen Aspekt eines klavierspielenden Menschen sehr unterschätzt wird. Und leider Gottes ist es auch ein unterschätzter Punkt auch für Männer. Ich finde, dass dieser Aspekt auch noch dazu kommt. Und Sirius ist ein hervorragendes Projekt, um eine gewisse Awareness, ein Bewusstsein dafür zu schaffen. Ich durfte dankenswerterweise recht viel Zeit mit dem Instrument verbringen in den letzten Monaten und es gibt 2 Punkte, die wirklich bemerkenswert waren. Einerseits beim ersten Spiel, wo man sich dachte, wow, das ist toll. Und dann noch einen zweiten Freudenmoment, der aber nur kontinuierlich kommt. Also es ist nicht auf einmal, sondern es ist ein schleichender Prozess, aber im positiven Sinne.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Yeah, and for folks potentially listening back to this on audio only, we don't have the direct translation at the moment, but
Oh,
we
sorry.
had but we had the in Portuguese and German. This is the video was of Yamaha, I guess, and is this a specific Yamaha model called Sirius 6.0? Is that the idea?
No, Yamaha doesn't make these pianos.
Okay.
Oh gosh, I can't remember all the details, but in
Okay.
German, they call the piano Sirius.
Sirius, right?
Yeah, they gave it that name.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure they're Steinbuehler keyboards that
Okay.
have been rebuilt by technicians who use keyboards from Titusville, Pennsylvania, made by David Steinbuehler.
Okay, got it. They just happen to be installed out of Yamaha pianos in this particular.
I'm sorry that I can't give the exact reason for Sirius, but I will find out and I'll let people know on our website or in the future.
Yeah, for sure. But anyways, a woman speaking in Portuguese, just basically explaining that, you know, the smaller keyboard just allows her to remove a lot of tension from her playing, right? From her, the tension in the hands extends all the way up to the shoulders and the arms and all these different places, so that she can feel freer to play and interpret. And in the second case, the man speaking in German was saying that, you know, partially, well, he was surprised and excited and found this an interesting concept, but also there was sort of an instant moment of joy when first starting to play this type of piano and in kind of the freedom that it brought him. But then even as there's a sort of different feeling of satisfaction of the continuous experience of ongoing playing a piece, you know, and saying, oh, wow, this feeling continues, you know, I kind of get to sort of settle into it and appreciate it. So that's my rough translation of what
So
people
many
were
people
saying.
communicate that there, and she
Yeah.
also there's like equality. It's more, it's fairness, because
Right.
of course there's talent and there's, gymnastic ability, but there's no creative ability for playing a 10th if you can only play a 9th.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Exactly.
there's this feeling where you don't have to think or work as hard because you're not strategizing how to use your small hands on a larger landscape when it fits you the way that the normal keys would fit a large person. So
Mhm.
it seems to be unanimous, and people speak about it in different ways. I thought we should include the next excerpt just because, it was so unusual for Mariana Rodriguez in Brazil to have her quintet, including an electric guitar, just to show the range of music of the artists that we have in this festival. It's not only classical music there. We want to include as many genres of music as we can.
Yeah, this looks fun. Let's check it out. I could listen to that one forever. That's my favorite so far. Wow.
Me too. I could listen to it forever. I keep hesitating from asking you to stop because I don't want us to run out of time. So everybody, listen to these concerts. They're all
Yeah.
free. All 27 of them. You can listen to them at home while you're cleaning your house, doing the dishes, having dinner. There's a lot of music, and it's not going to cost anything this year. Okay.
So that was Braço Quinte. Is that how you say it?
Yes, Braço Quinte. Yeah,
Braço
from
Quinte.
Brazil. Led
Very cool.
by Mariana Rodriguez and all her friends, and yeah, super impressed by her and her the compositions and all the work she's done. And Carol Leone, who is in Dallas, Texas. This is from a program called Romances and Etudes. I could have her speak. She's such an authority about Stretto piano keys, but I'd rather you hear her play this gorgeous Etude Opus 25 No. 1 by Chopin.
Sure, let's hit it.
Okay, let's encourage people to let's encourage people to hear this one as well. Hear the whole program. It's not a long program, and she starts with some wonderful commentary and information, background. She's really a leader in this field, especially in the academic world of helping people play these pianos. And she even came up with the name Strezzo that we all decided to agree on. Our team decided that's the word we would use because Carol speaks Italian. So I'm a huge admirer of Carol Leone. And this last excerpt is from a concert of two boys in Manchester, England, Stanley and Selwyn. I wanted the viewers today and the listeners to hear someone, there's a group of young people, I think they're all under 20, trying and discussing the piano with narrow keys. So this is, it's time code 225.
Okay. Yeah, give me 1 minute. Yeah, eventually before we roll out, I will try to share all the links in the chat. We might as well do that. But first, let's watch the next one. Here we go.
Hello, I'm Jamie Brown, and I'm going to be playing Rack 2 with Cheatham Symphony Orchestra in July this year. However, there's a problem. I cannot play all of the opening chords. Like, I have to spread them because I can't stretch them. But I could if I wanted to. So, yeah. So, yeah, especially this chord here, I can't. And like, making a cluster out of it and playing all the other notes around it, and you know, obviously you get the. I can stretch that, but only if I stretch my hand beyond the threshold of pain. So now, this is a different piano because the keys are less wide. Let's see if I can stretch the chords. And there's one. There's another one. Stretch that one fine. And that one. Not doing quite well.
Cool.
Hi, my name is Rachel. I'm 6
Cut
years old.
there.
What's that?
I loved watching that. I loved
Yeah.
watching that. The,
Yeah.
the feeling of satisfaction he
Yeah,
had. And
totally.
the name Rachmaninoff came up so many times during this festival because we had all these live concerts. And you know, I invited people to come up on the stage one at a time after the live concerts were over. That was part of the point of having a live concert because there's no showroom where you can come and try a Strezzo piano. And you know, people large and small were coming up and playing Rachmaninoff. So I was really inspired by this. And the first thing is that I moved the piano into a recording studio on Monday. So I have a place to make my record, and I'm starting this Rachmaninoff project now, because even people with medium size and large hands have a difficult time playing his music. He had like monstrously large hands. He could reach from a C to an A, you know, with his pinky and thumb. And
Right.
most people do that.
Right.
So we'd like to have a Rachmaninoff project in January, which is just kind of loosely being formed now, but I'll be, you know, sharing that with everybody. We'll put a program together, Rachmaninoff, his friends and contemporaries. So knock on wood, we'll get all our funding, and you know, people will continue to donate thousands of dollars so that we have a hall. And I'm not going to be able to do what I did for this festival again. I will need help in order to keep this going, but I have faith that that's going to happen. So,
Very cool. Yeah.
if you have stuff you want to ask, or if you want to open up for Q&A, Ethan, I pass over to you.
Sure. Yeah, and I'm just adding all the links to our chat, Zoom chat here. People want to go check these videos out that we sampled. Whatever suits your fancy, you can check those out. Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of questions, I'm curious, like how this was the third time, I believe you did the Stretto Festival, and I think we talked about it last month. We were talking about kind of the different, sort of totally different scenarios in each year, right? Like the first year, I think the first year was a virtual, right? Primarily.
Yeah, it was pretty much completely virtual. We were
Right.
able to invite a few people to New York City, but there were no audiences. We were still wearing masks. It was pre-vaccine, and
Right.
that was ticketed virtual concerts. We had
And
we had a partner.
and then last year you moved to more, was it hybrid or more
Well,
just in person?
and we went from 18 artists to 32 artists
Oh yeah.
1 year, and we had so many people to take care of, hundreds of emails all the time, and they were all ticketed. And then we had, I can't remember how many, 6 concerts in New York, but it was in a smaller, less grand room, a less expensive room. It was just a different vibe. It was more like a living room concert than in a concert.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so now you've expanded it to be more of a concert experience while also still maintaining the online presence. So how do you think about next year and what that's going to like, or the next iteration of sort of concerts for Stretto? How do you think it's going to look moving forward?
I want to have as many in-person events in New York City as possible. Oh, I didn't mention, we got on television. We were on the morning news on Tuesday, the day that the live concert started. So we all had to be there at 6 o'clock in the morning. I was up at like 3. So, we want to garner a little more media attention, more people in person, more people trying the piano. So I would like to continue having as many events, getting a Spotify playlist up from the recordings, inviting other artists to record. I'd like there to be more in-person activity. And my assistant Julia, she went on a camping trip. She's off the grid this week. So I'd like to speak with her, and we need to have a meeting with our co-artistic director, Rhonda Boyle, who's in Australia. We haven't really decided exactly what form next summer's festival will take, or even exactly within the month. And I'm very excited to create something in New York with some partners, with people who will join us and help us, including the Chinese consulate in January. I'd like that to be a starting place.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And how about yourself? You ended up playing for the concert as well?
I opened the shows with my Joni Mitchell show on Tuesday, the 18th. I always have to go first because I have to take care of everybody, pick them up from the airports, and pick up equipment, and all kinds of stuff has to be done. Yeah. I mean, this kind of job, it's usually like, 10 people who would be running a festival. It was really me and Julia and a couple of volunteers. And of course, our co-artistic directors and some of the advisors helped, but boots on the ground, it was a lot of work for 2 people. What we really need is to hire a staff now. So I'm hoping we can grow that way. And that's the other reason that we're asking people to participate with us.
Got it. And then tell me more about the recording studio situation. So you're going to be recording some music on the piano in the studio, or is it more for other folks, or what's the context there?
About, I don't know how many months ago, maybe 6 months ago, I was approached by a music label, and I'm making a solo piano record. I'm really excited about that because the way the festival started was me being given a piece by a composer that I premiered, and I couldn't play that first chord. And I said, I'm only going to play this on my little key piano and I'm going to record it. And, you know, I've been looking for ways to do that. And I'm so honored that composer Elliott Sharp invited me to be on his label. And I have a bunch of pieces I'd like to record. So I'll be very busy with that. And I thought it would be wonderful to have other artists have the opportunity to play. So, you know, Julia is interested, Julia Furlan, my assistant, who's a young, wonderful pianist. And Anna Arazzi, who lives in Boston, she's been in the festival 3 times. She said, yes, I'm coming. So then I was there just a couple days ago with a New York pianist named Eric Clark, and he's playing lots of Chopin and Rachmaninoff, and he's interested in recording. So, you know, it's just all happening at once right now. And we'll figure out, hopefully by the next Piano Tech Radio Hour, we'll have more news for you.
Very cool. Very cool. In terms of the sort of relationships with the different dealers and, you know, makers and stuff like that, you know, I'm clearly your ideal outcome is apparent. You know, you'd love for any and every piano maker to offer this, and I suppose it's feasible to a degree with a relationship. It seems like there's got to be a coordination between Steinbuehler, for example, and these brands, but then also sort of like an intermediary that's willing to do the manufacturing of the keyboards, right? Because it's like, no matter your piano, you can basically get a smaller keyboard for it, but then you've got to customize each keyboard for the maker model of the specific piano. And then I know that one of the limitations here is that Steinbuehler can only manufacture so many of these just because it's a small operation. So it seems like there's got to be coordination between the brands, ideally all of them that want to do this, some sort of a way to get the specs together so that you can have a systematic way to create the keyboards. And then it seems like almost like a third party you know, distribution, sort of manufacturing and distribution center that's larger than Steinbuehler that can coordinate and collaborate with these different brands, and then if everybody can offer it. Is that how you're thinking about it, or are there other options I'm not seeing in terms of making this dream come true?
Yeah, I wrote a proposal in 1997. You know, I was like, ding, this is what we got. Is just step by step. I know it's disruptive, but you got to start somewhere, just like the electric car, right? There were a few electric cars that by innovative smaller brands, and slowly the larger brands started saying, oh, we're going to be coming out with our line. It didn't happen right away. It didn't happen overnight. Remember those first cars, the Leaf and the Prius, and how, you know, everybody wanted them and you had to wait. That's what a disruptive technology calls for, a gradual introduction by smaller, innovative companies that are willing to make a leap. It was very exciting to speak with the Highland representative because, you know, I know that bless his heart, David Steinbuehler, he's like a hero to so many people. And we could not have had this festival without his work, his presence, what he did with Chris Donison. It's all kind of miraculous. But it isn't sustainable. What if we get media, we have publicity, we let everybody know about this, and there's a demand? You know, you can't, if you make 12 keyboards a year, you can't fulfill 1,000 orders. So that's where it's going to get a little bit uncomfortable. But for me, the most important thing is for people to be playing concerts and not just talking about it and thinking about it. And that's why I think the approach of having concerts in major cities right now, starting with New York, but I would love for there to be a concert hall where you have a choice of key size in LA, in Chicago, There's already one in Dallas. You know, there are a bunches of universities where you can have a choice, but a university is different than a public concert hall where people can come year round and play concerts. And you know,
Mhm.
I just feel like we've got to jump in, get our feet really wet, and just, you know, get closer to swimming in the ocean. If it takes a year, if it takes an angel investor, if it takes, you know, a little organization. I've got some ideas, but I don't want to share too much publicly before we get a little bit a step towards the next concert, you know.
Yeah.
But if
Well,
anybody wants to have the conversation, if you and I want to have the conversation sometime, we can talk about it for hours.
yeah. Well, it's coming along. I mean, we can see the progress happening, and overnight success stories never happen overnight, right? It's just a bit by bit, step by step, and you keep trotting along. And in the email describing the session today, I used the adjective I don't know how you pronounce it even. I don't know how to write it. Indomitable. Indomitable. Okay. Well, that certainly describes you, Hannah. I was like, that's a good adjective. That's a good adjective for Hannah. I don't use that word that much, but that suits you.
My ex-husband used to call me formidable.
Formidable, indeed. Okay. Well, that's
not
great.
about me. It's really about this community. And when you hear the beautiful, beautiful music and the joy and the smiles, these people who could not have been playing these pieces without these pianos, it's a thrill like I've never known anything else in my life. And I'm willing to devote my life to it at this point. So
Well,
thank you.
many people are appreciating that, I'm sure.
Well, sharing here with your community, because that's really what it's going to take, you know. It's just more sharing.
Yeah, indeed. All right, well, we're almost at the end of the hour. Any final words from you before I sign us out and we move on to the rest of our Saturdays?
I want to see if anybody out there has any questions for us.
Oh, let's see if there's any questions in the chat. We don't have a ton of time for it, but let me see if anything pops up. Yeah, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to put them in the chat, or you're welcome to
One
unmute
or
yourself.
two, or
And
I don't know.
yeah, you're also welcome to unmute yourself and say something. But if nothing pops up, I'll start to walk us out here in a minute. But yeah, we're getting a lot of, by the way, I told Hannah about this, you know, in addition to the folks that join our Saturday sessions, we see quite a bit of activity on the email list. You know, we get a pretty significant open rate on our email list. We've got about, say, 4,000 folks on there, and 1,000 of them are basically opening every email. You know, give or take, depends on the person, but on average, about 1,000 people are opening these emails. 25% open rate is pretty great. And yeah, we're seeing a lot of activity, you know, around the Stretto pianos, and that the good signs that people are interested in following along and following the story. So yeah, even if there's no questions or comments today, that I think there's a lot of interest. And also I think that the interest coming from folks in universities and manufacturers and builders and stuff like that, which is exactly the right place where you want to see attention. So good stuff. All right, well, I will start to sign us off here. Want to say thank you again as we've reached the end of another musical journey here at Piano Tech Radio Hour. Thank you to Hannah for joining us. As always, we're brought to you by Piano Technicians Masterclasses, cutting edge instruction from piano industry masters without leaving your home. If you joined us today by just signing up for this session individually, make your life more convenient. Subscribe to Piano Tech Radio Hour. You get the recording of today's session, automatic registration for each week's session, and the recordings in our member area. You can sign up at bit.ly/joinptrh. That's bit.ly/joinptrh. And make sure you keep an eye out on our third Thursday masterclasses and subscribe to Piano Tech Radio Hour as well to participate in those. We just finished one up with Larry Lobel, and more great ones on the horizon. Doug Gregg's coming up next, gonna talk about tools from other trades that he's incorporated in his piano work. Everything from motorcycle and hot rod car repairs to furniture refinishing and beyond. And I will say we have one comment here that leaked in here last minute. Johan Krebs said, a friend piano teacher has a Steinbuehler narrow key keyboard for sale for a Yamaha G2. It's barely used, and asking if there's any exchange for used keyboards. So yeah, maybe we'll make sure and put you folks in touch to discuss further. What's the best way to reach you, Hannah? Email address, let's say.
There's my main email address. I have so many. And you can also, there's also info.
Okay. So it's reimann.musicandfilm@gmail.com. That's REIMANN.music&film, no spaces, @gmail.com. And reach out. I'm sure Hannah would be happy to hear from you. There's also an email here, info.strettopianofestival@gmail.com. info.strettopianofestival@gmail.com. All right. Well, thank you so much, Hannah. Great to see you once again. Appreciate you joining us, and good luck on your further road of arduous journey that you have planned for yourself.
One new message. Thank you. Okay.
Okay. Thanks a lot. We'll catch you later.